There's going to be a celebration of all the new awards being given out by the ISBDC for entrepreneurs and startups in the region. That's happening down in Maryville today at the Radisson Hotel, which is in its final days. Well, just a few more. I do have a few announcements. We will not be meeting next week, which is the day before Thanksgiving, and we are also not going to meet the Wednesday between the Christmas and New Year's holiday as well. But other than that, we will be meeting every Wednesday. Upcoming presentations on November 30th, we have a company called Brace to Play. They were winners of the Big Sell in 2015. I know that they went to Impex in Pittsburgh last year, and I know they made some great contacts. George Foreman was very interested in their product. I don't know if they got an investment, but we're going to hear more from them on November 30th. And then we have a brilliant entrepreneur coming in on December 7th. It's a company called Pot Plugs. It's actually my company, my moonlighting project. It's a project for the horticulture and caniculture industry, and it's a product designed to put a unique identification with every high-value plant being produced. I'll be presenting that on December 7th, and then if you keep your fingers crossed, I'll be presenting the same presentation to the Purdue Accelerator on the 9th, where they'll be deciding if they're giving away $100,000 to me or some other lucky winner of the Accelerator. So thank you. For anybody who's in the room associated with the university, or if you're a student, we are members now. CMEC is now a member of VentureWell. VentureWell is an organization that actually supports student-run entrepreneurial ventures. There are 2 cohorts a year with VentureWell, and you could end up winning $25,000 for your STEM-related venture. Now, if anybody's in the room that's faculty, please give this information. Niaz, Dean Latif will be sending this out through the College of Technology, but it's open to anybody in the university, Purdue Northwest, that is. So both campuses. I also want to invite everybody here to one of the other programs that CMEC has founded. It's called Founders Hours. It's a social hour, actually it's social hours. We'll be hosting this on December 16th between the hours of 3 and 5. We've confirmed that Dan Law, who is the executive producer of the Thrival Festival out of Pittsburgh. This is a competitor to the South by Southwest Festival in Austin. We are actually looking to do a Thrival Chicagoland Festival with this organization. Dan founded this festival. It is the only fundraiser for a non-governmental incubator, non-governmental accelerator program in Pittsburgh. It's all private money that's used to support these entrepreneurs through the Thrill Mill. And Dan's going to come and talk about how we can organize an event like this. But the overall talk for the Founders Hours, we'll have a panel discussion of experts in the area as well. How do we support startup entrepreneurs in Northwest Indiana region, or the Calumet region? So that's going to be on December 16th. I do have a few statistics. Everyone who's been here before knows that I like to ask statistics. And if you win, if you get close to the statistic, I give you a 1 million cups item. Well, today I also have a Coffee Cabin t-shirt. Jeff and Dana could not make it here today, but they said, please give one of our t-shirts away to a winner for statistics. So I'm going to ask, these are a little bit, these aren't like great statistics, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So I have this report from Chase Manhattan, or JP Morgan Chase. It was a study conducted for minorities and women in startups. So I'm going to start with women's participation in receiving venture capital. I'm looking for a statistic between 1 and 100. How many women owned, or how many women CEOs have received venture capital? Anybody have a suggestion, guess? 7%? 60%? 20? 25? How much? 41. Anybody else? Lewis?
37.
I'm sorry to say that only 3% of women CEOs have received venture capital. And this was based on a study in 2014. So we have some work to do on that one. So do you want the mug or the t-shirt?
Mug, please. Give me the t-shirt. It'd look better on you.
All right, I have one more, and this is also not a pretty situation. The 2010 Venture Capital Human Capital Report finds that only 17% of private early-stage internet companies receiving venture capital in the first half of 2010 have a minority on the founding team. And only 13% of founders of internet firms receiving venture capital are minorities. How many African American CEOs have received venture funding? Well, this was in 2010. 2%? Dead on. That's shameful. Sorry about that. You get a t-shirt as a presenter can win. Yes, absolutely. If anybody wants this, I have a copy of it. I can also send you links if you're interested in the research here. So now I want to introduce you to Louis Kennebrew. Louis is the owner and CEO of Daju Proof Concept Funding and the Chief Operating Officer of Imagine It Tech. He received a BS in Aerospace Engineering from Tuskegee University and an MBA from the University of Michigan Ross School of Business. His emphasis were in new product development and operations management. Louis has spent most of his professional career as a management consultant to mid-size and large product manufacturers in the areas of product lifecycle management, software, and business processes. Please welcome Louis Kennebrew.
I like you more now that I know you're down.
Will do. Mic check 1, 2.
Looking good.
Well, good morning. As stated, I'm the Chief Operations Officer for Imagine It Tech, and we've stated my background, have an engineering and business background, focuses really on new product development, and I've got 18 years experience, helping, companies of all sizes improve how they develop their products. So what I want to talk about today, though, is Imagine It Tech, and one of the questions asked to me in preparing the presentation was, what are the business challenges that your company faces? And so that's what I want to focus on in this short, brief presentation, is a major challenge that I'm sure all companies face, and the solution that Imagine It Tech has taken to solve that business challenge. But first, some historical context. I'm not the founder. Patrick Harris is the founder and CEO of Imagine It Tech. He has bachelor's and master's degrees in electrical engineering and 10 years of product development and product design experience, for some fairly large and well-known companies, but across different industries, Raytheon, Molex, Motorola, GE Healthcare, Stryker, and several others. And wanted to take that knowledge gained and provide that knowledge to the inventor, the person who has an idea, is trying to understand how to get that idea, materialized. And so started the business out of an incubator called Blue 1647, the Tech Innovation Center in Chicago. And over the first year or two, developed strong partnerships with the Illinois Institute of Technology, Northern Illinois University, their engineering programs to provide some experience and to get some work and assistance from engineering students, and also developed at that time a strong relationship with what is called Chicago Inventors Organization. And through those relationships, it really led to the primary lead customers, right, which are inventors primarily. And we're going to go into more detail. I'll go into a little bit more detail in a slide or two. But after the first 2 years, moved from that incubator into another incubator called the Polsky Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, formerly known as the Chicago Innovation Exchange, which is run by the University of Chicago. And through that organization, the incubator provided access to law students from the out of the University of Chicago, business students from Booth, engineering students, and venture capital, as far as mentors and future possible funding, as well as just a community of other startups from the student community of University of Chicago, as well as the community. And now we're expanding the relationships. We're creating new relationships, one of which is with the Commercialization and Manufacturing Excellence Center here at Purdue Northwest. And so I said all this to say, in context, that developing a product development firm really, these steps were made to provide resources and expertise that, say, Patrick Harris didn't have himself. So he surrounded his knowledge with resources and knowledge from others, so he can provide a kind of total package to his clients. And now jump forward to early to mid 2016. What was the business challenge? Well, business challenge is that revenue growth was stagnant. Kind of hit a steady run state of revenue, and just not really the revenue that the company wanted, or the growth rate there. And so why was that a problem, or why was that happening? Well, we looked at it. The target customers were inventors and patent attorneys who were representing inventors. And when I say inventors, the typical person or customer base that he has had for probably the three years were the lone person who had an idea, whose primary goal was really to get a patent, and hadn't really thought too much past the patent acquisition stage. So as an engineering company, the services that they wanted were patent illustrations. And sometimes, right after the patent illustration, or sometimes a few times before, a conceptual prototype. And when I say conceptual, meaning they just really wanted to take their idea, somehow have it materialize, usually 3D printed device was sufficient. Sometimes a 3D CAD model, so it didn't even have to be physical. They just wanted to be able to see their idea, and it was okay if it was in the computer, they could see it, they could spin it. Now, so why is that still a challenge, right? Why does that matter, that they wanted patent illustrations, which are good, right? You have to have illustration with your patent. Well, why it mattered is that the average customer life cycle, right, is only about $900, right? Patent illustrations aren't very complex. They require very little engineering capability or need, and so they don't cost. You can't charge that much to do a patent illustration. It's a kind of cost of what the person really wants, which is the patent. So your customers are looking to kind of minimize their costs, and oftentimes they get the patent illustration, then they may come back for the conceptual prototype. So that's at least 2 transactions with the customer. And if their patent is successful, a lot of times, they get it, you may not see them again. So really his customer base, where the value that he's getting from the customer is less than $1,000 per customer, let's say, right? So that's the business challenge, right? You set up, you have to have a lot of customers at $900, and I'm saying per their lifetime, so that's not even, at one time, right? So to really make some money. So what was the solution, and how do you resolve this business challenge? Well, first you set a different target. Say, I want average lifetime customer value to be over $10,000. So how do you go from $900 to over $10,000? How do you do that? Well, you find some new target customers, and you provide services that those target customers will find more valuable than just patent illustrations. And how do we do that? Well, now we start looking for people that are product entrepreneurs, right? So that's the inventor who has a profit motive, right? As I said, several inventors, they are only thinking as far as attaining a patent and not really deciding what they want to do next. But we did know that from its history, there are some people who actually want to start a business or who have a business, who's actually an entrepreneur. They want to make money off that patent. Those are the target customers that Imagine-A-Tech is now looking for, because those target customers if you need to make money from it, now you need to actually put some engineering work into it. As I said, through these incubators, through Patrick's professional experience, some of my experience, we have other engineers have all this talent and have a network of additional resources who have the capability to do engineering. We really just weren't getting the type of customers that wanted engineering work done. So it's not that the company is really changing what it can do. The company is just finding customers who value more of what it can do. So what have been the results? Right? So just over the last 3 months, really, after changing a little bit of how we articulate the services that the company does, looking for the types of customers that we're looking for, as I said, those product entrepreneurs, the rate of customer acquisition is about the same. We're pulling in about the same number of customer meetings per month, winning the same number of contracts per month, but now the revenue per new customer is about 5 times the amount that it used to be. So for the same number of customers, we're now seeing, at the early stages, a 5x growth in, the spending per customer. So that's how we're trying to resolve the challenge there of growing revenue by basically just pointing our spotlight at a customer who has a different objective. And it's not to say we don't still service the inventor. But I'm going to show this last piece is, as I said, we changed the customer by changing our value proposition. How do we articulate the services that we provide? So if you look on the left, our services were articulated, very straightforward. We can provide product development consultation. We can develop electrical or electronic schematics and printed circuit board layouts. We can do computer-aided modeling, which is all true, and the company still does that. But for an inventor may not know that they need computer-aided modeling or schematic capture, if what they want has some electronics involved. So the way we were advertising wasn't resonating with the people that we wanted to do business with. So we changed the services into 4 packages. So now, the choices are fewer, easier for people to decide. And then the choices also build upon each other. So if a person only wants patent illustrations, we provide patent support. But we also now talk to them to say, hey, if you're getting a patent, what do you want to do when you get that patent? You can either license it or you can manufacture it. And if you're going to do that, you probably want a proof of concept, which is not now, not just a conceptual prototype, but you may need a functional prototype. It means it actually has to work. It's easy to do an illustration. That's a drawing. It does not have to be it doesn't have to physically work or perform as needed. But if you do a conceptual prototype, again, you can do something in 3D. You see things in the movies that look real, but they don't really work. Star Trek Enterprise is not physically possible, but it looks real, right? So if you have to make a functional prototype, that requires some engineering input, which is what our organization does, which costs more, but it provides more value. And if you're looking to make thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars from the selling of your product, then it's worthwhile to spend a few $1,000s to ensure that your product will function so it doesn't break, if you do get to the point where you're selling it. And so after proof of concept is designed to sell, right? What a lot of inventors don't realize is you have to do some upfront marketing work, right? If you're going to design a product with the intention to sell it, you need to know what competitive products out there that you'll be selling against. You need to know what prices they are. You need to know how to design your product so that it is the cost to manufacture the product plus the cost that you will need to sell and market your product plus the profit you want to make for that product can all be attained at the price that you can actually sell it at. You can't just make up a price and sell it. People may not pay for it because there are always alternatives out there. And so we help design toward hitting a certain price points to maximize your chance of selling your product. And lastly is the commercial prototype, meaning not only do you have to design it to sell, you also have to include design for manufacturability. You want to find the way to manufacture it at the lowest cost so you can maximize your profits, for the sales price that you've already targeted. So that's how we've changed our services. The company's internal capabilities really haven't changed much. Just now we're articulating it better and selling more of the higher value services than we were able to sell before because we're now actually letting people know this is why you want engineering services, not that we provide engineering services. With that, I want to say thank you, and I want to open the floor for questions. We have a question?
You mentioned you assist people in knowing what they should sell their product for, what the cost of their product would be, and how do you get this information?
Okay, so the question was, when I mentioned we assist people with knowing what to sell the product for and what the cost should be, how do we get that information? So one of the things that we do is what we call a product placement evaluation. Take your concept and your idea or your product, and then we'll start with internet search to see if we can find two categories of products. Products that are similar to your product, products that are competitive to your product. They may not be similar, but people may buy that instead of your product. And so once we're able to identify several products that are similar and or competitive, we look at the prices of those products as well as the features of those products. So from a design perspective, you may have an idea. A common mistake even very large companies will make, is over-engineering their product. Meaning engineers think, oh, this is such a great feature, I'm going to put this in here, and we should also make it do this, and we should make it do this. And then you have to build all those features. That means you have to price it so high. And then several companies, even large companies, fail at this. Their product that they release is too expensive, and they tried to solve problems for so many potential users that no one buys it because it's too expensive for just a few pieces that they need. So what we do is try to compare your idea to what else is on the market and say, okay, well, here looks to be the price point, and here, if this is your innovative feature, this is a great feature because no other product has this, or you should think about tweaking this feature because there's a gap. And so we do that type of analysis and provide that to you because our goal is before you invest tens of thousands more, right? It'd be good to know if, there are cases where, people have come to us with these ideas they're trying to get a patent for, and, we search and say, well, you know what, somebody actually already makes this. So your idea is not unique. Doesn't mean they can't continue that. They can tweak it, but they may not have even realized that somebody already also had that same idea and maybe making money for it. And at least you know how much people are paying for their product, so you know kind of the price point that you have to work with. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did, but that presents another question. The product that you have, all right, you go out and you look in the market at other products, and they're all over the board, price-wise, from real low to real high. And it's basically the same product. What's the difference difference in the price? Why the price variation?
Usually you look at the features of the products. Usually there's differentiation in the features and who they are targeted toward. You know, differentiation can come in many different ways. It could be things like some products are made from different materials than others. Some could just be pure marketing. If you look at jewelry, for example, most of the value in jewelry is in how they market it, right? And then the precious metals, right? But Zales, you know, is different. You know, their diamond ring is probably from cost of the materials, no different than any other jeweler. You know, but their marketing is better, they charge more. So that's what we look at. You know, what are your feature set versus these? Where are the price points, and kind of where should your price point be? And it varies by the type of product and the type of industry.
So would you consider your company an all-in-one company from idea to manufacturing?
Good question. The question was, do we consider our company an all-in-one company from, I would say, concept through manufacturing? And the idea is we want to be able to help our clients through that process, but we will partner with other companies which have the resources or expertise that we don't have. So in that way, we can kind of shepherd our client. We really want to be protective of our clients. Our goal is to ultimately help our clients commercialize or make money from their idea. So we want to be able to work with partners that can help them. So for example, we talked about, you know, we working to develop a partnership with Comec here because we don't have the manufacturing engineering expertise. We want to work with a trusted partner who does, because the goal is to minimize the cost of manufacturing for that client so that they can maximize the profit. Because let's just say their price is set. So now everything that you have to pay for to get that product to the market, the more you can minimize while still maintaining the features and the quality that you need, right, the more profits you can make. And so manufacturing, for example, we partner.
Louis, it's like you crawled inside my brain. I wanted to kind of just piggyback on Mr. Ragg's comments, though. In getting your actual functional prototype, at that stage, do you actually take it out to customers, or is it the responsibility of your clients to take it out to customers and get feedback on perhaps price point, perhaps functionality?
Sure. The question was, does Imaginatech, when we're talking about, you know, do we take our clients' products out to customers to get feedback on price point? And the answer is yes. I'll give you an example from a project that we have right now. I'll disguise some of the facts because of the, you know, non-disclosure of this, but we're working on a design for a client who makes their product will help in the sports arena. And so what we're doing initially, before we've even started the actual design, the detailed design of the product, we're actually we're going out, we're going to find some professionals in that sport. We've also found, you know, some competitive products that we've purchased, and we're going to talk to those athletes to say, here's a concept that a client of ours has, right? So the client has gotten, oh, by the way, a provisional patent. You should always get a provisional patent, or you can say patent pending. That way you can talk about your idea without the risk of losing patent rights. So we advise the client to get the provisional patent. Now we're taking the concept and the value before we even have a product to show them to these athletes to say, we're describing this to you. Here's some things that are similar. We want to enlist you to help us test it. Now, based on what we've described, how much would you pay for this? How much would you pay for this product? We already know the price of a product that's already on the market. We're asking the athlete, how much would you pay for this? Hopefully, you know, their range is going to be similar to what's already being, you know, charged for this. That way, we're getting, you know, a range of prices that we know before we even have started the actual engineering design work. Then we take that input and we say, okay, if we know that the price point is around here, and we also know that they like this about this existing product, they didn't like this about this existing product. Well, if there's a weakness or something that those users don't like about some of the competitive products, then those are some features that we want to add in our client's product so that he can beat those products that are already on the market. And that's how we go about doing that. And we're doing that before we even doing the actual design engineering work because we want to incorporate the learnings from those potential users and purchasers of the product into the product design itself.
In reference to that, I apologize, I don't mean to be monopolizing the questions, but in reference to that, you spoke of sports and you would go to professionals. What if I have a light bulb or a shirt?
Right.
All right, what professionals do you go to?
Well, we would go to different target users of it. And I say professionals, they're just good in their sport, not necessarily paid professional athletes. They're athletes that are good in their sport because they're also going to test it.
I'm sorry, do you ever go to the everyday person?
So the question is, do we go to the everyday person? The answer is, if the product is intended to be sold to the everyday person, the answer is yes. We're going to the target user of the product, the person who's going to buy the product. Those are the people that we're going to. But sometimes the person who buys the product is different from the person who uses the product. Our idea is to go to both. We want to find out from the person who buys it, what do they value, what do they not value, how much price are they willing to pay depending on the various features. The person who uses it may value something different than the person who buys it. Example of that would be, toys and cereal. You advertise to the kids, but it's the parents that are buying it. And so you have to meet the needs of both. You can't make a wholesome, totally nutritious cereal that a kid in the commercial thinks is going to be yucky, because then they won't beg their parents to buy it, or the parents will buy it and the kid won't eat it. So you have to appeal to both the buyers and the user. And so depending on the product that our client wants us to develop, we then pick the right users to test the idea and to get the price points from. Anyone, another question?
Can you go back on your slides to the concept part of that? So you're now back like 3 or 4 where you have the University of Chicago up there and 1647 up there.
Okay, yep.
So in terms of like the COMEC here, good enough right there. So you're kind of in parallel universe to what we're doing here. In other words, we want to be able to offer those kind of services to people. So I'm just interested in how you I guess, get rid of that conflict with, say, the University of Chicago or 1647.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're trying to sell your services to the inventor and provide support. And quite frankly, that's kind of the whole thing that we're supposed to be doing here. Yep. I mean, I'm all for, considering maybe just kind of like subcontracting some of that and so forth. But how do you manage that relationship and not double the work, do the same work as the same?
Right. Well, right now we want to do the things that, like I said, we've been part of 2 different incubators, and we've been working here with COMEC. If there's something that inventor can get from that organization, then we're all for it. And we say, by all means do. If there are things that they don't get, right, then we're there to help. So we're an organization, first engineers, can they go to an organization, say Polsky Center, right? It's really hard to find, an engineer. They have engineers who participate there, but they're not there necessarily taking on individual work. They're there to pursue their idea or something they want to do. And so it's basically kind of the difference between, I'll use an analogy. If it's, there are different ways to get your taxes done. You can do it yourself. You go to an organization that does it for you free, or you can pay H&R Block, or you can purchase software, right? Some people need more guidance through the process. Some people are willing to pay more because, again, it's a paid service. We try to deliver during certain time periods, and we have people dedicated to the project. And we actually also go out and find specialists. There's another project that we have where we actually need an acoustics engineer. We don't have the acoustics engineering expertise, but we know the product needs it. So we're going out on the market. It's a freelance society these days, and we're finding someone who can be, who is an acoustic engineer, negotiating with them a price point to add just their piece of knowledge to the product. They have some specialized needs so that we can optimize the design of the product. It's not the entire product, but we had to go find out. We're doing the work to find an expert in a certain specialty to add a little bit of engineering content.
If I could just add to that, when Mr. Rags manufacturer I know in Pittsburgh who sells the very same glove to Walmart for like $5, and he sells it to another unnamed retailer for $50. It's the exact same, glove, essentially. I think everyone has their own price at which they're feeling comfortable with, and I think the difference also between us and Imagine Tech is professional and academics, and some of our faculty who work on these projects have their faculty load as well as working. I mean, you have some direct professionals working on it, and they don't have the manufacturing expertise, so I think it's a very comfortable partnership.
So does, like, say the centers themselves, will they refer the inventors to you?
Yes. So a lot of the first several years, say at the Blue 1647, a lot of those inventors were referred because they were attending, they were working out of Blue 1647, or they were going there because the Chicago Inventors Organization also operated out of Blue 1647. So they would join the Inventors Organization, and it was an organization of like-minded individuals, but also kind of tended to be where they really focus heavily on an idea and getting a patent for the idea. And not a lot of successful businesses were growing out of the Chicago Inventors Organization because it tended to focus heavily on the acquisition of the patent. And I said the Imagine Tech's early business then were those customers who also focused on the patent, and then their needs were, hey, I just need a patent illustration because I need to file the patent. And we did it, but it's a kind of small amount of money, and you're leaving a lot of that capability that the company had, unused. We have questions?
The example that this gentleman talked about, would he get a patent for that glove?
Good question. The question is, like an example, Mont talked about between one glove being $5, one glove being $50. Same glove sold to two different customers. Would you get a patent? So the question about getting a patent is an interesting question. I'm not a patent attorney, so don't take this as legal advice. The law states, as I understand it, such that if you have a novel idea or you believe you have a novel idea, you should file a provisional patent, and which once accepted, and they're almost always accepted, once if the application is completed correctly, then you have 12 months in which you can now discuss your idea. You can declare this patent pending. You have 12 months before you have to file a full patent. There are many companies who make products that they don't seek a patent for. There are plenty of successful businesses that, a patent is a legal document. It's not as strong as most people believe it is, meaning you can have a patent, somebody else can make a product exactly like yours, and somebody's got to take somebody to court to then spend a lot of money to try to prove that their patent is being infringed upon. If you're a small business, do you even want to spend the money? Are you one making the money, right? We've talked to some people say, look, if you're not going to make any money, who wants to steal your patent? Like, if you can't show you're making money from it, what other company is really going to spend the time and effort, right, to go seek some property of yours or actually they don't see value? Like, you haven't proven that your patent has value. And I may be able to come up with a statistic. It'd be a good one. I don't know it. What % of patents actually go unused?
Oh, it's enormous.
Yeah.
I know in academia,
I know it's
80%.
right. So if you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur or an inventor, a patent going through an attorney is going to cost you, upwards of $10,000 to $15,000. You may be able to get it for less. You can spend $10,000 and never see a penny back from that. You can be proud that you have a patent, right? But you got a $10,000 certificate on your wall, right? So to answer your question, that's a long way to answer. Should you get a patent or not? It really depends. If it's truly unique and innovative, for sure. If it's a small tweak, or if it's something that is, it's kind of common, but you're applying it in a different way, you may not need one, right? You may but it's good. I would say go get a provisional patent. That gives you 12 months to figure out whether you should actually spend more money and filing a full patent. See if you can sell it. See if you can actually make it. Then it may be worth the $10,000 to get the full patent protection. We have a question. Let me take. I don't know who was first, left or the right. Bill.
So I just have a comment. It took me to the almost last slide to figure out what you guys are doing.
Oh.
And my suggestion is you could almost flip the deck around and have the last slide first so that you tell people what you're doing at the beginning and why should I care? So you answer that question at the very beginning of this process so that people know what you're doing. And you need a tagline that tells them that you're helping them, helping entrepreneurs make money, or some kind of number.
All right.
Otherwise, you're losing folks at the very beginning of this process and not engaging them. And going through the history, unless I'm a history professor, I really don't care too much.
Okay.
So it's got to be there for a reason. Why do I care? Why do I believe you? What's in it for me? Three main questions you got to answer for the customer when you're doing your presentation.
Thank you. Good advice.
Curious about your typical customer. So you mentioned how what the transition from just like the documentation for $150 style custom contract to 10,000 plus. Is your, like my guess would be it's someone who's in an engineering field who dabbles in like their own product design. But I was curious if you guys have narrowed in who that persona is.
Okay. So the question is, who is our typical customer? I'm going to break it into who our typical customer for the first few years. The persona of that customer was, they were a retiree, with no engineering background, who's maybe watched things like Shark Tank, have ideas. That they said, hey, over the years, I used to work in this field and I had this one idea, and then I learned about an inventors organization and I went there, and they said, hey, great, you have an idea, you should get a patent. So then they came to us to say, I was told to get a patent, I needed illustrations. I got an idea, I don't know how to draw it up. That was the original target customer and typical customer. So as we tried to work to shift our target customer to say what we call, a product entrepreneur, is actually someone who either already has a business. Some of them already have a business, and they're trying to either a new product idea, or they're trying to refine existing one, or someone who doesn't yet have a business, but they want a patent, but they only want it because they want to grow a business around their idea. Those people are trending a little younger. A small percentage actually do have engineering backgrounds. So they're a little further along of how to describe it, but they don't necessarily have the business background, so they don't know what to do once they're able to describe it. And so that persona is now a little different, right? They're either already have a small business or they want to start a small business. Question in this gentleman here.
I had a question, but I think you kind of clarified it through all this conversation. And one of those last slides where he talks about the development of the relaxed commercialization prototype. And I see that you have a relationship with the University of Chicago. So I just see that strong relationship and not getting related to these folks here as far as manufacturing. But at the early stages, if you identify somebody who doesn't even realize they need engineering, I'm handing that kind of off, and communication going on with Chicago, University of Chicago, to identify, are they trying to create a product that you just want to sell and get out of, or are they trying to create a company? How do you build that company? Because if you're providing engineering service and you're connecting with other engineering services, eventually they're going to have to do engineering in-house. Are you helping them build their business, or are you looking to be that engineering resource for them, connectivity to your other partners to be that engineering resource for them? Because inside engineering can be very expensive and sometimes not even needed in relationship to the life cycle or the cycle of improvement, continual improvement of the product.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's a question, just kind of understand what kind of stuff your head is in regards to the long-term
Okay.
objective of identification of customer.
Right. So I think I'll try to phrase it as a question. I think, the question was, does Imaginatech help with, when we're providing kind of the range of resources, are we helping the customers, start the business or developing their engineering resources, or if they have a business, they will eventually need inside engineering. And so to answer that question, right now our focus is providing the engineering work for an early stage startup or early stage product entrepreneur. Engineering, I should say, product development encompasses more than just engineering. And so the focus though is the aspects of marketing to help, not advertising their product as much as market research to find what are the price points their product can sell at, so that we can do the engineering work to meet that price point. Don't want to design a $500 product and people are buying $10. The competition for it are all being sold at $10. We would fail. We may have a functional product that works for $500, but it would be a commercial flop.
In your process from, passport, proof of concept, there's a transition there. You identify that there's a potential for the product.
Yes.
At what point, is that when you're kind of handing them off the roof and saying, okay, now let's start really developing that business plan, because that's what the investors are going to want to see, in regards to
Yes.
long-term viability of this product.
Yes. So the question was, at what point do we hand off from the engineering to the business, kind of the product development side to the business development side? And it varies by client. And in my introduction, I have I'm part of two companies. So Dodgy Proof Concept Funding, which wasn't the topic of this presentation, focuses more on the business formation side and helping companies build the business model around their product, and focus only on the early stage, funding needed. And that funding comes from a variety of sources, some venture capital, but some of it is just bootstrapping. How do you do something that you can sell just to prove that you have a viable product? So Imaginatech focuses on the engineering side to be that first engineering department for a startup. If they grow and they need continuous engineering, we also would like to be able to provide that. If they choose to then bring on inside engineering, that's fine. We'd be happy to hand that off. Right now, our clients over the last few years, haven't progressed that far to where they've got strong enough sales where they can now hire, inside engineering. A question, Ken had a question, and then you, Mont.
Thanks. And I think my questions are, when I see inventors, I always call it 0 to 1 to get to that business development side, right? And I'm wondering if your company could expand on that, because first, I'm not sure about all the people with ideas, if they have the funding to get through your process, and then carry on to the business development side and really make sure, I can go to 5 potential clients and do a market survey, see that they like my price point, see that they like my product, but am I going to sell it to the masses and make money? And so I understand the funding segment there. Do you have something else that really gets them to packaging? What's the difference in packaging in big box stores and web sales to get you through distribution, right? To fund your first PO to get you through distribution. My experience, and I've really only been helping entrepreneurs maybe for about a year, but a lot of experience in big business launching products throughout the world, right? The concepts are the same. And I think 0 to 1 is the inventor, and 1 to infinity is the business. Do you have something in mind? Is it loop? To carry an entrepreneur through that part of the life cycle?
So the question is, for an inventor, for the life cycle of actually, getting into developing the business, starting the business, growing all the aspects of the business around that product. What does Imaginatech do in that regard? And in that regard, we partner. We're trying to focus Imaginatech on being the product development service provider, and to touch upon, some of those other areas of business where they can impact and influence the product development in a positive way, and to refer them to specialists in other areas. So to your point about, say, sales in a big box retailer, for example. So we have a partnership with a company called Retail Bound. Retail Bound's focus is helping their clients get into the retail chain. And they do consulting around, how to package, which retailers are best fits for their product, how to sell into those retailers. So that's not where we want to spend our, kind of internal resources, but we found a company that does it, so that if we can get the customer to a commercial prototype, which is what Imaginatech would drive toward, then they have something that they can then take to those retailers through Retail Bound, as something to help demonstrate. If it only requires a sales sheet, we can do that, but we're also looking at companies that also provide like those marketing and branding services, who can even provide more specialized, and better support in that. So as I said, we want to be able to focus, help our clients get through the process. We will not necessarily, within our company, provide all of the services, but we want to be able to manage and point them to other providers that can provide the full set of services. Did that answer your question, Ken?
Yeah, I was wondering, though, I mean, funding these entrepreneurs, do you provide services on it's a play off on income, called IFCOM, if
Right,
money comes
right.
away, right? They don't have,
To your question on, how do we help people, get the funding for their ideas? As I mentioned, I started another company called Daju Proof, which actually focuses on helping clients get the funding for their concepts. And again, with that, there's been a range, and it's from friends and family, personal, to what other, depending on the product, help them through sources such as loans, small business loans. We have relationships with some venture capitalists. Venture capitalists right now, it's a very tricky business, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's not for everybody. It's for a very small subset of inventors right now. And if it's not usually a web app, it's something that is easily scalable with a few people, and you already have a strong management team, venture capital is not even really a good viable option. So we help with that regard. But one thing we've learned is, as I said, the focus being on the inventor, if that inventor doesn't have a plan, to really, generate a lot of revenue for themselves, then it's hard for, them to see the value in what we provide. If you have somebody who thinks they have an idea that's worth millions, they'll find the money to get there. Otherwise, they sit on the idea and it's worth nothing. So what we've learned is, people who are serious about growing their revenue, they find the money to get what they need. And those that aren't as serious or kind of hoping, they don't find the money. And you can still do it through sweat, labor. You work through incubators. People can join, Blue. They can join the Polsky Center and utilize those resources, right? But those things are all kind of a la carte. You get some advice. You're doing all the work. They're heavy on advice, little on the actual work. And so if you're willing to put in the work, go get all the advice, utilize the advice, it can certainly be done. But it's like I used my example with the tax preparation. I went to an H&R Block course. I paid for that. I learned I'm not the one that should be doing my taxes.
I just wanted to jump in there right there. I know not every product is going to be a manufactured good, but I strongly believe that if you've got an invention that's going to be a manufactured good, you really need to go through that process of developing the manufacturing and at least on scale first, because you really can't do business model analysis really until you know that's where CMAC comes in. If you're manufacturing something, we can actually set up a manufacturing process and scale, possibly get to know your capitalization costs, you get to know your operating costs, and actually the rate of flow, and that's where you can build a real model.
Right. Right.
But again, it's like 1/5 of every business is a manufactured good, so.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of go off of what you said, is, at what point do you give that entrepreneur or inventor a reality check?
Sure.
So they know, how do you help them build, so they know how to ask for money. If they have a passion, then nothing's going to stop them. Okay? But we need to understand what the risk level is in regards to people are asking for money at what stage of the process.
Right. So, good question. The question is, at what stage do we give the inventor kind of a reality check? And the answer to that is at every stage. This is no knock against patent attorneys, right? But a patent attorney's job is to file a patent application for you. They'll tell you your chances of actually getting awarded a patent are 50-50, right? They don't play favorites. They get paid the same whether you get a patent or not, right? What we do, try to do it early, like I said during the patent support, is say, hey, by the way, here are products that are already out here on the market. And there have been inventors that we've told very early on, I don't really know how much money you want to put into this, because I can go buy this right now. The exact idea that you just described to me, I'm seeing it online for X number of dollars. Right, right. Now say, yeah, and what we find is some inventors are like, it's their baby, they're kind of stubborn about it. This is my idea. I don't want to change anything about it because it's my idea, and let me just get the patent. Okay, good luck. Well, if you want us to do illustration services, we're happy to do that for you. We just gave you some information about, the marketability of it. Reality check there. The next is, like I said, the proof of concept. Sometimes we really going to have to prove that this idea actually is physically possible. At that point, we're not necessarily doing all of the engineering. We're not doing design for manufacturability. We may not even be designing the entire product. Just the aspect of it that we're, the highest risk for, is it feasible from an engineering perspective? Because again, we want them to know before they sink a lot of money. We try to say, do this before you get the full patent. Because the patent and trademark office may give you a patent for it. It just may not be feasible from an engineering perspective. It's better to spend a little money to find that out than a lot of money to get a patent. Then you go to try to do, say, manufacturing study, at which point you still will need the engineering work done. That's the wrong time to figure out, right, that the amount of engineering effort is going to make it more expensive than you can sell it for. So
at the earliest stages, you have all your team members looking at this early stage.
Right.
Give some kind of pass through.
I think at every stage, we're
Right.
trying to find the hole that makes this not work.
Right. Exactly. And because it's our goal to, yes, we want to make money. And as I said, we want to make, we have this value target over several, projects with a client of what we're looking to make. But we don't want to take advantage of a client, and we want them to stop spending money at the earliest stage that their idea is not going to be successful.
That's the hard reality. If you want to bring a team like that together at the early stages, it may be an influx of cash to begin with just to get that first go. And they don't understand that's going to actually save them money on the back end.
Exactly. Exactly. We've had that conversation. That you spend a little money, but it's a good investment to keep you from spending a lot more. One more question?
Do you consider joint ventures with your client?
Oh,
Going to be successful?
yes, we have considered that. We have not done it yet. Yeah. But yeah, we have considered, as a part of their funding our services, maybe we take some percentage of their equity in the company, or if their goal is to license it, percentage of those license fees, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's what,
Oh.
I know we're ending, but, I don't see entrepreneurs being able to afford a lot of it.
Yeah, and as I mentioned when I said the $10,000 number, that was lifetime revenue from the customer. So that's over several projects. Hopefully you spend a little now, you find out some more information. You find out enough to know whether you should go forward or not go forward. Or do you pivot, as I said, which means, hey, here's an idea. I thought it was a great idea. I'm finding out that there's not a lot of money in this idea, but a part of my idea, if maybe directed in this direction, there's a larger market. And then you spend some more money to go there. All right.
Louis, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Folks, I just want to make one last announcement, and I want to thank you all again for coming. Again, next week we have Brace to Play. Next week we're skipping. The 23rd we're skipping. On November 30th we have Brace to Play, and December 7th I'll be pitching my newest Pot Plugs project. So I want to all thank you for coming. Again, let's thank Louis for coming in. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and I think this is actually leading towards what we hope to talk about on December 16th with the Founders Hours. How can we help Northwest Indiana entrepreneurs or Calumet area entrepreneurs? And I'd actually like to extend an invitation for you to be on the panel discussion if you don't mind. Okay, thank you all for coming. And please, if you haven't come before, I want to give you one of my cards, or give us one of your cards so we can keep you on the mailing list. And I also see several people out here who should probably consider applying to come up here and pitch at 1 Million Cups. So with that, I say thank you very much and have a great afternoon.